Welcome everyone, and thank you for being here today. Today, we will explore an important lesson on patience and self-control. The title of our presentation is Wisdom from the Hadith. We'll look at a powerful story that highlights the value of managing anger. Throughout this session, we'll reflect on how these teachings can improve our daily lives. Let's begin with a timeless example from the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This slide features a quote from 2026 by Continuous Learning Development, and it offers a very short, easy-to-remember piece of advice. But don't let its simplicity fool you. Its importance is immense. In fact, if we look at the narration from Al-Bukhari, it becomes clear that the person asking the Prophet, peace be upon him, didn't fully grasp how comprehensive and far-reaching this advice actually was. He kept asking the Prophet to give him more guidance, as if what he had heard wasn't enough. It's almost as if he was looking for more, seeking additional instructions, when in reality, the advice given was already very profound. If he had taken a moment to reflect on what the Prophet had said, he would have realized that this advice was incredibly comprehensive and significant. So when he asked, "Advise me," he was asking for guidance that, in truth, already held the key to many aspects of life. This reminds us that sometimes the simplest advice can be the most powerful, but it requires us to ponder its meaning deeply. Connecting this to our overall theme, it highlights the importance of truly understanding and internalizing the wisdom we receive, rather than constantly seeking more without appreciating what's already given. Certainly, here is the word-by-word narrative script for Slide 3. Today, I want to highlight an important point from the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The advice we're focusing on is specifically about blameworthy anger. It's crucial to understand that not all anger is the same. There is such a thing as praiseworthy anger, which I will discuss shortly. But for now, let's concentrate on the kind of anger that is considered blameworthy, those moments when anger leads us to actions or words we later regret. The Prophet's guidance emphasizes, do not become angry, which might sound simple, but it's a powerful reminder. It doesn't mean we should suppress all feelings of anger, but rather, we should manage and control it, especially when it's unjustified or harmful. At the same time, it's important to recognize that there are circumstances where anger can be justified or even necessary, when defending oneself or others, or when standing up against injustice. In those cases, feeling angry is natural and can be a righteous response. So, as we continue, keep in mind that the overall theme here is self-control and wisdom in our emotional responses. Managing anger, especially the blameworthy kind, is essential for personal growth and maintaining harmony in our relationships. Let's take a closer look at the first view of this hadith. Essentially, it suggests that when the Prophet, peace be upon him, advises us to do not become angry, he's encouraging us to adopt certain means or strategies to prevent anger from taking over. It's about learning how to change our character and develop positive traits. Think of qualities like generosity, kindness, calmness, modesty, patience, forbearance, forgiveness, and an easygoing nature. By consistently practicing these qualities, we can become more accustomed to them. The idea is that if we make these traits a part of our everyday behavior, we'll be better equipped to control our temper when we feel anger rising. It's not just about suppressing anger momentarily, but about cultivating a personality that naturally leans toward patience and understanding. This connects to the overall theme of the presentation, which is about emotional regulation and self-improvement in our faith. The key point here is that controlling anger isn't just about willpower, but about actively working on ourselves and adopting positive habits. When we do that, we'll find it easier to stay calm and composed in challenging situations. Now, moving on to the second view, which offers an insightful perspective on the Prophet's, peace be upon him, advice. This view suggests that when he said, do not become angry, he was emphasizing that we should avoid acting impulsively when anger takes over us. Essentially, it's about recognizing that anger is a powerful emotion that can lead us to make decisions or take actions we might regret later. The key point here is that if we feel anger rising, we should take a moment to pause and fight that urge within ourselves. Instead of reacting immediately, we need to control that impulse and refrain from doing anything driven solely by anger. This concept ties directly into the overall theme of self-control and emotional regulation. It reminds us that true strength lies in managing our emotions, especially in moments of provocation. So, the next time you feel that surge of anger, remember this advice. Don't let it push you into actions you'll regret. Fight it internally and choose a calmer, more thoughtful response. In this slide, we see al-Baytar's perspective, which offers a more literal understanding of the Hadith. He emphasizes that when someone feels anger rising within them, the key is to practice patience. The idea is to consciously control oneself, to remain calm rather than reacting impulsively. Al-Baytar suggests that the core meaning of the Prophet's advice, "Do not become angry," is about handling situations with wisdom and rationality. It's not just about suppressing anger, but about managing it thoughtfully. This approach highlights the importance of self-control and emotional regulation, especially in challenging moments. It connects to the overall theme of our presentation, how to respond wisely and maintain composure in difficult situations. Remember, the goal isn't to ignore our feelings, but to master them, to choose calmness over reacting in anger. That's a powerful step towards personal growth and better interactions. Let's talk about this slide from the perspective of the author. First, it challenges the common presumption that anger is something natural and uncontrollable. Instead, it encourages us to question that belief. Just as a believer thinks before speaking, he must also think before acting. And getting angry is an action that we can control. When the feeling of anger arises, the key is to pause and ask ourselves, why am I getting angry? And is this really worth getting upset over? These questions help us reflect and gain perspective. By doing this, and remembering Allah and thinking about the hereafter, we can prevent ourselves from losing control. Instead of reacting with anger, we should aim to stay calm. That way, we realize that many things we get angry about are actually insignificant. There are far more important matters, and importantly, by controlling our anger, we are pleasing Allah. The phrase, "do not become angry," isn't just advice. It's a reminder that mastering our emotions aligns with our spiritual goals. It's about taking conscious steps to improve ourselves and our relationship with Allah. This approach fits into the overall theme of self-control and continuous learning, helping us become better Muslims and better individuals. One of the key points to understand is that Satan is very pleased when a believer becomes angry. Anger is not for the sake of Allah, and Satan knows well how much evil can come from losing our temper. So, to control anger or to remove it, the first step is to seek refuge in Allah from Satan's influence and effect. The Prophet, peace be upon him, also gave us a very important instruction for when we're angry. Usually, in anger, our words can make the situation worse, and that's something we need to be cautious about. He said, "If one of you becomes angry, he should be silent." This simple act of remaining silent can be a powerful way to prevent saying things we might regret later. It's about controlling ourselves in that moment of anger and turning to Allah for help. Remember, controlling anger is a way to protect ourselves from the harm that unchecked emotions can bring, and it aligns with our overall goal of self-purification and spiritual growth. Copyright 2026 by Continuous Learning Development. In many cases, the source of our anger comes from somebody else's wrongdoing or mistake in behavior. It's important to realize that everyone, including ourselves, is capable of making mistakes or doing something wrong. Recognizing this helps us see that anger often stems from a lack of understanding or compassion. One powerful way to counteract anger is through forgiveness and kindness. Instead of reacting with resentment, we can choose to forgive those who wrong us, understanding that nobody is perfect. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning the behavior, but it allows us to release the negative emotions that weigh us down. Kindness, in turn, helps foster better relationships and creates a more positive environment around us. This approach aligns with our overall theme of emotional mastery and personal growth. By practicing forgiveness and kindness, we turn a potentially destructive emotion into an opportunity for connection and understanding. It's a vital step toward maintaining inner peace and building stronger, more compassionate communities. Not all anger is blameworthy, and in fact, some anger can be praiseworthy. It's important to understand that we're not always expected to be loving and accepting no matter what happens around us. There is a type of anger that is considered commendable because it is driven by a higher purpose. This praiseworthy anger is the anger that comes from a love for Allah and a desire to uphold His teachings. When Allah's commandments are ignored or treated with disrespect, that should evoke a strong reaction from us. If someone truly believes, they must demonstrate this anger when they see injustice or disrespect toward Allah's words. It's inconceivable that a person with sincere faith could witness the words of Allah being dismissed or ridiculed and feel nothing inside. That would actually be a sign of a diseased heart. So this kind of anger, rooted in faith and love for Allah, is not only justified but also necessary to maintain the integrity of our belief and to stand against disrespect. Now, as we come to the final slide, I want to highlight some key takeaways. First, it's important for us as Muslims to recognize how petty many of the things that make us angry really are. Often, we get upset over minor issues that, in the grand scheme of things, shouldn't disturb our peace or our connection with Allah. We should constantly weigh the act of getting angry against the pleasure of pleasing Allah. If we remember that controlling our anger can bring us closer to Allah's approval, it becomes easier to suppress those negative feelings. This mindset can help us avoid unnecessary anger, Allah willing. Additionally, it's crucial to stay away from situations or people that tend to trigger our anger. By avoiding these, we're proactively protecting our hearts from unnecessary turmoil. And when anger does arise, the best course of action isn't to act upon it impulsively. Instead, we should follow proven means to extinguish that anger, like taking a deep breath, recalling Allah, or even changing our position. These steps help us respond wisely rather than impulsively. To sum up the Hadith and our discussion, controlling anger is not just about personal discipline. It's about aligning ourselves with Allah's guidance. When we practice patience and restraint, we're not only bettering ourselves, but also fulfilling a key aspect of our faith. Remember, it's through these small but significant steps that we grow closer to Allah and become better Muslims.